I'm going to say it. I'll be the one to say it here. It is time to be selling your Xbox 360 games. The Xbox 360 store closure is happening at the end of July, on my birthday actually. And as this hype cycle, all of this FOMO is reaching its peak levels as we race towards the finish line here, meaning it is time to sell these Xbox 360 games that people are now willing to pay seemingly any price for before they get even more expensive. Do you know what the problem with that is? Some of these games have already gotten crazy expensive. How much more expensive do people really think a lot of these titles are going to get? And of course, it's not every single Xbox 360 game. This whole hype, this wave of the store closure, all this FOMO has hit certain titles way harder than other ones. Some games that were 20, 30 bucks a couple of months ago are now selling regularly for 80, 90, over 100. So let's talk about some of these games that have spiked way up recently and why these gains aren't natural or even sustainable, at least in the short term. Say thank you to every single patron, help support the channel, as well as the YouTube members. I can't do this without you guys. Hit the like button, and let's talk Xbox 360. Just to preface here, I love Xbox 360. I've collected for Xbox 360 for over 10 years. I'm not as deep with 360 collecting as I used to be. At one point in time, I thought I was going to do a full set. Like I was delusional, to be honest. But I just want to let you guys know that I really like Xbox 360, and in the long term, I do believe in the price of these games. So if you're someone who has been watching game collecting YouTube recently, or if you watch Xbox 360 content in general, I'm sure that you've noticed the content is buy Xbox 360 games now. That has been loud and clear messaging now for the past 6 to 12 months. And it is ramped up again here as we're getting even closer to the Xbox 360 store closure. All you have to do is type Xbox 360 into YouTube and you can watch endless videos about what you should be buying and how expensive they are getting. They're no longer available. You got to get these games before the store closes. That's what's happening. That is the narrative right now with Xbox 360. And there is a massive positive feedback loop right now with this content, with these actions. As everyone starts going out and stripping supply away, the prices actually are going up because, of course, right? All of these new people are joining into the market. And since the prices go up, it's like, hey, these people are right. The prices are going up. We got to buy even more. If you were someone who was paying attention and started buying Xbox 360 months ago, you're probably doing really well on a lot of games. You were likely able to get games like Fatal Inertia, Operation Darkness, Concept Saga for way less than what they're going for now. And genuinely, that's freaking awesome. I'm happy for you guys who cared about Xbox 360 before it was cool. I did sell off a lot of my complete in-box Xbox 360 stuff years ago before anyone actually cared about it, but I do still have Blue Dragon here. It was a brand new copy, but it doesn't have cellophane on it. Who wants a brand new copy of a game that isn't actually wrapped? I got the GameStop special right there. Magna Carta 2 and Dead or Alive Extreme 2. It has a deep story and rich gameplay, and all three of those games I've shown there have gone up a decent amount in the past few months. And yes, I will be putting them on eBay in the coming weeks here and selling them. I simply don't care to own these games anymore as much as I used to, so why not list them when Xbox 360 stuff is selling literally for record prices? That's what's so crazy to me. A lot of these Xbox 360 games are now selling for 2 to 5 times what they used to sell for. And the overarching narrative is still to buy before it's too late. Too late for what? Xbox 360 is pumped. And while those 3 games I showed there have been affected a little bit, I want to show you guys 12 big examples of games that have really shot up here. And I'm sure there's more than just these 12, so make sure to let me know in the comments any other that you've seen that have just spiked up recently. So I'm just going to put the first 6 on the screen here, and I just want you to look at how natural and nice these price charts are. Yes, these are all some harder to find Xbox 360 games, but just look at how steady the chart was here for 10-15 years on these games, and then you have the exact same timely massive explosion on them. This almost looks like dreaded market manipulation if you ask me. Carl needs to finish up with old Billy so we can expose the Xbox 360 market. And don't worry, because we can also throw up another 6 random games here that have basically the exact same charts. Games that have absolutely skyrocketed here in about the past month or two. Hey, this one down here might actually have good gameplay, but this is the current environment for Xbox 360. And this kind of environment is extremely volatile. Let's just zoom in here on Infernal Hell's Vengeance, a 2009 release with pretty shit reviews across the board. So if we just bring open the whole chart on Infernal here, you can just see as I slide. The CIB price was under $10 until 2021, then it went over $10. And as of March 2024, no one wanted to pay even $15 for this game. Enter in April, level, and the CIB price recorded is $139.46. And if we go into the completed listings here, you can see that it sold for $189.95. And to add insult to injury here, the most recent sold price is $95. How did someone lose 50%? They almost lost $100 buying Infernal. How do you do that? Who are these people? But that's the volatility that I'm talking about when these prices spike up the way they have. People suddenly notice the price spike and list copies on eBay and the market floods. The game WATA is also another funny one here where no one wanted to pay even $25 for it up until a couple months ago, and of course now the price has spiked all the way up to $80, right? We have sales as high as $99.99 here. These kinds of price spikes are simply unsustainable. The hype climate we have right here is going to fade away once the store actually closes, and people are either one, going to stop caring about Xbox 360 again, or two, jump on whatever the next big collecting trend is. Speaking of which, remember a couple years ago when it seemed like every single person was collecting for the Wii U and you had to buy every Wii U game before their eShop was closing? Wii U games were spiking and they were only going to get more expensive in the future. Well, the Wii U store closure announcement happened in February 2022 and the actual store closed in March 2023. Well, if we just go to the actual Wii U price charts here, this is the index for every Wii U game that exists. So February 2022, this would be the month the announcement happened, and the average price was $16.70. And absolutely, by March, just 1 month later, this is actually absorbing the news that was announced, the average price jumped up like 20%. That's a huge jump. And from there, it had a little bit of a dip, but then it did continue climbing all the way until March 2023 right here. This is the month the store actually closed, hitting $20.58. And a couple of months later in July, actually, everything peaked out at $24.59. So yes, there were absolutely gains on most Wii U games going from the month they announced the store closure all the way up to a couple of months after the store eventually did close. Like I said, everyone was buying up Wii U games. Everyone was a Wii U collector. It was a fun time to be in Wii U. It was hype. Except now in 2024, about a year after everything, you can see it's a steady decline, and we're sitting now at 1883 average. So before the announcement, we were sitting at 1670, jumped all the way up to 24, and now it's all the way back down to, it's almost 19. It is still above where it was before the whole store closure announcement happened, but hopefully this real example here shows that once stuff spikes up, once stuff goes into this big FOMO cycle, maintaining those peak prices and even expecting them to get even higher in the short term simply can't happen. And this does include your massive collector's games like Devil's Third, $521 at the peak. Now we're sitting at $264. Game and Wario sitting at $185 at the peak. Now it's all the way back down to $91. Xenoblade Chronicles X peaking out at $83. Now it's down to $40. These are some of those big collector games that everyone said you had to run out and buy before they got even more expensive. Well, Devil's Third was $352 before it was ever announced, and it's sitting at $264 right now. So the price on Devil's Third is actually lower now than it was before the store closure was ever even announced. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I don't think that played out the way a lot of people thought it was going to. And when comparing Wii U to Xbox 360, there are way more Wii U full set collectors to try and keep every single game alive. When we talk about Xbox 360, full set collecting isn't a thing. That is super, super niche. So you have to hope all of these random rare video games truly do become hidden gems. They truly do sustain themselves in the collector conscious. Because like I pointed out with Infernal there's a lot of bad games that are being treated as if we should care about them. And the last thing I want to touch on here, if you are going to sell now or sell in the coming week, sell in July once the store closure is actually going to happen, is once this positive feedback loop stops, once the prices stop going up, the downward pressure hits fast. At the end of the day, none of these Xbox 360 games that are spiking up are actually rare. Yes, there's some harder to find games, but if you've been paying attention to YouTube videos, a lot of the talk is, oh, go check your local game store, go check pawn shops, thrift shops. And the reason for that is because, yeah, it might actually just be sitting in pawn shops or thrift shops because, again, they're just not that rare. And do understand that while I do think prices are going to fall here on most 360 stuff in the coming months, I do not think most games are going to go back to their pre-prices. Like Infernal being a $20 game, no, that ship is sailed. I don't think it's ever going to go back down to that price again. And amongst these games that are going up, yep, there are probably going to be a few of them that do become grails, do become some of the most sought after games, and they sustain their prices and the price shoots even higher in the future. But in general, if you have some of these Xbox 360 games that have spiked up in price tremendously in the past few months, I encourage you to at least strongly consider listing them on eBay, list them a little bit higher than market if you want, try to capture some pricing. If you have some of these games and you don't really care about them, it is an amazing time to sell out. And I truly believe in the next 6 to 12 months, you'll be able to buy almost every single one of these games that's going up in value right now for less than it's selling for right now. But let me know your opinion down in the comments. Hit the like button before you go, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.